Laura Ingraham, who has the guts and the integrity to have Michael Savage on their show whenever I have a new book out. The others are cowards and backstabbers and jealous, petty men. And I stand by those words, jealous, petty men who stand for nothing but themselves. These people had nothing to gain. They wanted a good intellectual conversation. Well, shall I say an intelligent conversation? And we had one. And I'm going to play little snippets of it when I come back, as well as do all the latest news, views, and reviews. Robert, could we play the little beginning of the Jim Bohannon show so they can get a taste of what I'm talking about?
Our guest tonight needs little introduction to the world of the talk radio audience. He is Michael Savage, the very well-known syndicated talk program host, in fact, right here on Westwood One these days. He's also noted for writing a number of best-selling nonfiction books, but you may not know that Mr. Savage, Renaissance man, also is a novelist, and we're going to talk about his latest work in that regard in just a second here. Michael, thank you for coming back on.
Jim, I love your introduction. Thanks for having me on. The music made me feel like Jerry Lewis was arriving any minute.
There you go. Tell me, if you would, about what drives you in all of these different directions. I mean, certainly a talk show job, a successful one, such as you most definitely have, would occupy your time. Clearly you have interests that go beyond that.
Well, I do, but here's the thing, Jim. I can only go so far on my broadcast in saying things, and in nonfiction you can do it in one way. Fiction permits you to do it in another way, and ultimately I write political thrillers, as I did in Countdown to Mecca, and there are things I wanted to say that I dare not say on radio or even in nonfiction that I think you can fictionalize through the mouths of invented characters. But as a matter of fact, though, this is the last of these commercial novels. It's a trilogy. The Countdown to Mecca is the third and last of the series where Jack Hatfield is the character. He's a disgraced journalist. He was smeared, becomes a freelancer, and he's the hero. But Abuse of Power was the first. Time for War was the second. And this just out last week, Countdown to Mecca is the third and last in the trilogy. I'm not going to do anymore for a number of reasons. They're exhausting. And there's a limit to how much anyone wants to do on Earth. And as you said earlier, frankly, a daily radio show is quite enough, as you well know.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Your Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust for tangible assets, gold and silver. Call 800-BUI-COIN. So there's an epidemic of crime, an epidemic of killings, especially of police. And the most prominent case right now is this shock of a home invasion. Mother, a father, a maid, and a 10-year-old tortured with knives and the house set on fire. So they find a pizza left over from the animal who did it to them, allegedly. And his DNA is traced to some police report because he's a known piece of garbage. And now, manhunt, suspect wanted in 4 murders, believed hiding in Brooklyn. I don't think they have to go that far. I mean, where could he be hiding? Probably, I'll give you 4 places. MSNBC studios. I checked the studios, the green room, the White House. He could be trying out for a job in the Civil Rights Division. Let's see, Al Sharpton's National Action Network headquarters, to see if he can gin up a story as to why he had to tape the family to a chair, torture them, and set them on fire. Probably had something to do with some oppression, PTSD from all of the oppression he suffered all of his life. Or where else might he be hiding? There might be another place you could look. I don't think it'd be that hard to find them. As key cities fall to ISIS, the Islamo-fascists, Obama is being told to overhaul his strategy. What does the Grand Illusionist say? It's not a setback. No, it's just a quirk. 80,000 people are now displaced from his strategy. You hear strategy. The sorority doesn't know what they're doing. No strategy. And Michael Savage will say again over and over again until the most diehard Obama maniacs listen to me. You had a parade of Toyota trucks that ISIS paraded the other night after taking Ramadi, a half a mile long. There was not one American warplane in sight. One American warplane could have destroyed all of them. Why didn't Obama launch that plane? Why was there no highway of death? Seeing them roasted like cockroaches next to their burnt-out trucks. There's only one conclusion. They're on our side. They're a product of America.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
I think the Malaysians and the Indonesians have requested some help resettling people. We're taking a careful look at the proposal. We're prepared to take a leading role in any UNHCR organized multi-country effort to resettle the most vulnerable refugees. I'd note that more than 1,000 Rohingya have already been resettled to the U.S. so far this fiscal year. And we're also providing assistance. This year, we provided nearly $109 million in humanitarian assistance for vulnerable Burmese.
Shut up! Shut up, chickmouth! That's one of the chief sorority girls for Obama, a woman who was a rolling disaster, both for the administration and for America's reputation. So now this criminal, and I believe she's a criminal, she knows what she's doing. Is it not criminal to tell America that we should be taking in Muslim refugees at a time like this, while Islam is on the march in the Middle East? Islam is at war with neighbors around the world. Why would you bring in more Muslims? Why? Tell me the benefit of bringing in more Muslims. Yes, let's focus on Muslims. Why? What's the reason for it? Moreover, these are not educated people. The Rohingya that they want to flood America with from Burma are amongst the lowest educated in Burma. They cannot work here. Many of them have multiple wives. That's part of their religion. Oh, yeah. Part of their religion is multiple wives. Now, when a Mormon did it, there were television shows, HBO documentaries. Katzenberg, Matzenberg, and Ratzenberg went crazy when a Christian Mormon had multiple wives. But Katzenberg, Matzenberg, and Ratzenberg haven't anything to say about multiple wives in the Muslim community. Nothing. They're unemployable. They're going to clog the welfare rolls. The schools will be overflowing. Do I need to go down the list? I don't think I do. I mean, any person can see this. How is this good for America? It isn't. So why would the Grand Illusionist be doing this to us? Why would the same man who is failing as a whatever they call him, a commander-in-chief, I love it, an anti-war guy who never shot a BB gun, commander-in-chief, George Washington there. George Washington with a golf club. He's about to charge across Trenton to the next golf course. The great commander-in-chief. Everything he said he did is blowing up in his face, but because of the New York Times, he gets away with it. So what can I say about it other than tell you what's going on? Executive amnesty for child molester. Yeah, big story. Big problem, big story. 855-400-7282. And over in England, it's interesting, immigration was a big issue in England. And unfortunately, the Conservative Party lost. The UKIP party lost. And Cameron, who was a fake Tory, very much like our Republican Party, Cameron's a complete double-talking fraud. A complete faker. He pledged action to curb migration numbers after the number of people entering Britain outstripped those leaving by 318,000. These latest figures from the Office of National Statistics are up over 100,000 in 2014 compared with 2013. And yet this very same liar, Cameron, promised no ifs, no buts to cut net migration, meaning the number of people entering the country minus the number leaving the country. But new data shows that he's a complete liar. He has not stopped the dramatic flood of illegal aliens. Now, to his credit, Cameron wants to restrict benefits to EU migrants and crack down on illegal aliens. Anyone caught in the UK without the right to work will have their wages confiscated and be deported immediately without being allowed to appeal until they are in their home country. That's a good move. Wouldn't you love that in America? Wouldn't that be great if you woke up to a leader who said, anyone caught in the United States without the right to work will have their wages confiscated, and you'll be deported immediately. You won't be able to appeal until you're in their home country. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Do you know what this actually means? Somebody did the analysis. It means that 285,000 people came to work in the United Kingdom in 1 year alone. And they wrote, that is the city of the size of Nottingham, which has nearly 100 schools, 60 GP surgeries, and several hospitals. Britain needs to provide the equivalent just to keep up with the workers arriving, and this illustrates clearly the strain mass migration is putting on our public services. Why do we not hear such an argument in this country from the Republican Party? When have you last heard Rubio say that mass migration from Mexico and China is putting a strain on our public services? When has that fraud said that? Never. When has Cruz said that? So far as I know, never. When has Rand Paul said that? So far as I know, never. Apparently, the entire Republican Party is owned lock, stock, and barrel by the very same greedy corporate entities, and not all corporations are greedy, the greedy corporate entities who want workers to work at a lower wage than American workers. So that's a story from England on the Savage Nation. And meanwhile, they're bringing them in from Burma. Why? Why would they bring these Rohingya in here? Why would they bring them into America? We can't afford them. George on WABC has an idea. Go ahead, please.
Michael, you spoke about Muslims coming in from Burma. Hillary Clinton last year visited Burma. Maybe she struck the deal to have these people come over here. I don't know.
And I think you're pretty close to the truth here, because if you read the story about these Muslims from Burma that they want to flood into America, they do tie it back to her visiting there and working something out there with the government. So now here it is. This is what you're going to get from a Hillary Clinton presidency. But it would be, here's the question, would it be any different from Rubio?
I don't think so.
Well, Rubio just said exactly the same thing in essence, because he was bought and sold by Larry Ellison of Oracle. That's what it looks like to me. Am I wrong in saying that thing? Is that an outrage to say a thing like that he was bought and sold by Ellison? How else can you not put two and two together? Out of nowhere, this billionaire, trillionaire Ellison backs Rubio, an unknown man with virtually no standing, no intellect, nothing, no gravitas, to use an old word, nothing, no standing to be president, other than he's got a Hispanic last name, right? So why out of the blue would Ellison go to him? There's only one answer, in my opinion, because he struck a deal with him. I'll give you dollars. You come out in favor of more H-1B visas for Florida so I can have lower wages, cut my costs, make more money. Doesn't that make sense to you? Am I wrong in my analysis, or is there something distorted in my thinking?
No, you're not wrong.
No, I'm not wrong. I'm really not wrong. See, I told you the best defense against the vermin who try to attack me, I mean the Salentarites who try to attack me, is the truth. My logic is flawless, so therefore you can't attack me. There's no other reason for Ellison to have backed this nobody. We have grandchildren. Many of us listening to this show have grandchildren. Can you please look ahead? Can you try to imagine the world of America and what it's going to look like in 20 or 30 years if these people are not stopped? Can you imagine what they're going to become in their own nation? Do you have any idea that your grandchildren will become minorities in their own country? They will be fighting Sharia law in their own country. They will have to fight every day of their life for survival. How is this even possible? Soaring immigration, soaring cultural displacement, the March of Islam. Your children's children will be outnumbered. And then you're going to have to accept the regime of the new majority, a Muslim regime. Your children's children will be marginalized and threatened. Your little girl will be a minority in your own country. And if you say that that's a good thing and that's a mark of diversity, then, my friends, you're mentally ill. Take a look at the demographics and ask yourself, why would this anti-American president overwhelm the nation with immigrants, especially Muslim immigrants? There's only one answer: to weaken the Christian majority. There's no other explanation. These are not Einsteins coming in, the Rohingya. They're not all Einsteins with advanced degrees or $100,000 to start a business. The country is being invaded. You have an invader in the White House who's, let us say, making it easier. The lying snake oil salesman in the White House is doing it. And his crew of trough-sniffing metropolitan progressives called a sorority. I'll be right back on Michael Savage.
Join the Savage Nation. Call